Peace and love, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new, please like and subscribe. And today is a wonderful Wednesday in April. I hope everyone is feeling highly blessed and highly favored today. All is well. And this is a wonderful week that we're in. I'm here in the DMV, and the weather has finally warmed up. We were having a few cold days, and it just feels amazing outside. And there's amazing energy in the cosmos right now. We have not only the energy of spring, which is my favorite season, but we also have um, an eclipse, a hybrid eclipse, which is rare, which is occurring later tonight, is beginning tonight. We also have the new moon coming and making itself manifest. And we also have some other great things and alignments that are taking place right now. So all of this energy is just high vibrating and it's feeling great. And let's take advantage of it and let's use it for peace and love and healing and prosperity. And family, we can do that. We can practice being conscious creators of the world that we live in, and especially the new earth that is coming into fruition right now. So keep all of that in mind, that you can use the energy of nature, excuse me, to live in harmony with nature and to live in harmony with one another. So that is why I'm sharing that. And so today, we are going to talk about a very, very important topic, very important to me because it's something that I have personally experienced and I have witnessed. So not only have I personally experienced it, but I've also witnessed it and I see it a lot. And that is the phenomenon of narcissism. So tonight we're going to talk about how to identify and avoid narcissists. And we had a discussion about this on a previous two-part show a few months ago when we had a therapist present, the beloved Serenity Rain. And so we went into identifying and talked a narcissism, and we talked a little bit about the traits of a narcissist. But tonight, the reason why I want to talk further and go into deeper detail about identifying and avoid narcissists is because narcissists are very prevalent, and a lot of people are having, very bad experiences with abuse, or a lot of people are finding themselves in this cycle where they keep being in the presence of narcissists. And that's why I wanted to talk about this tonight, because a lot of the people that I talk to, both clients and friends and, people that I know, a lot of us are being mistreated, because I want to use words that are not so negative, are being mistreated, and we've been abused by narcissists. And a lot of people keep finding themselves in narcissistic in relationships with narcissists over and over. For example, a lot of people who grew up in a household with a narcissistic parent or parents, when they become adults, they discover that they are married to someone who has the same kind of behavior that their parent had, the narcissism. Um, Many people have, dated, had multiple relationships or multiple marriages with someone who's a narcissist, and it's like it's like almost like they feel like they're a magnet to this kind of behavior, or they're having a hard time breaking that cycle because they don't understand and or understand what they're dealing with, and they don't realize that this is a pattern of behavior and that these people are narcissists, and there's a reason why you keep attracting them, or you keep finding yourself in their presence, it's almost like you're with the same person again and again, just in a different form, if that makes sense. And a lot of people find themselves in these patterns of behavior and these cycles over and over again with one narcissist after another. Um, I personally have experienced it a lot, growing up around them. Um, some of the friends that I had growing up were narcissistic. Um, some, in not so distant past, and a few years ago, there were some others that had narcissistic behavior, and past relationships with just people in general that had narcissistic tendencies, or what I call on the narcissistic spectrum. And then bosses who were narcissists, co-workers who were narcissists, and many of us experience this a lot, and we don't realize that there is a name to this type of behavior. The controlling, um, the lying and gaslighting that they do, the manipulation tactics, and what else? A major characteristic of them is this false sense of superiority that they have, or self-importance, and how they have to constantly be validated and praised, and they have to feel above everyone else, and just everything has to be, they have to be the center of attention all the time, and the center of focus, and just the dominant person in every relationship that they're in, whether it's work or personal relationships or family life. This is the same behavior that they're displaying. And then, a lot of us, the reason why people find themselves on this cycle with being with different people who are narcissists again and again, is because there are different types. Some people are more subtle and more clever with their narcissistic ways, and then there's others who are very blatant and very overt and very aggressive with it. And not all narcissists are physically abusive or verbally abusive. Some of them will cleverly say things, and you know, it's, I guess it's a more of a mental type of abuse, the things that they say and they do. Because a person can hurt you without using curse words. They can say things that just sting and that hurt your spirit and your soul and can damage you just as much as someone that's screaming obscenities. So some narcissists are very cleverly what's the word I'm looking for? Very clever, very covert with their tactics, but they're still narcissists. And many of them, I think almost all of them, are controlling. That's something that they all have in common, despite what types they are, whether they are more malignant or more cunning and deceitful with it. But they're all controlling, and they all have this. They do a lot of gaslighting and lying and mind manipulation, and that's another way that they try to maintain control over you. And a lot of us see this behavior on a daily basis, and we're not aware of what we're dealing with. And this is why I wanted to do tonight's show, because I'm hearing about this a lot. People are telling me all these things that they're going through, and I'm like, this person is a narcissist. And they're like, I don't know. I don't know what that is. Or do you really think so? And I'm like, yeah, I'm convinced based on what you're telling me or what I'm observing. And some narcissists, like I said, are very clever, are very cunning, and can be covert and hide their behavior. But then there's others that just don't care. They can't help themselves. They just have to let everybody know that they're the top dog, that they're the big kahuna, and everything is their way or the highway. and anything that is wrong is all your fault. You did it, you didn't listen to them, is this, and they know it all, because they know it all, they know everything. I've been on Zoom calls where it's like a group of people in seminars and webinars, and the narcissists, they always make their presence known in those Zoom meetings. You can just see it. You'll be sitting and someone will say something, and there's always someone that will interrupt or um, try to take over and dominate the conversation. They're not even the presenter sometimes, but they seem to think they are. They will got to have, the last say, got to be the one to be seen. Everything has to be all about them, these kind of people. And like I said, we've all been um, challenged by them. I know I have. I've had coworkers, bosses, family members, ex-friends who have these behaviors. I know that narcissism is labeled a personality disorder. However, I think it's a lot deeper than that, because your personality is also expression of who you are. It's an expression of the spirit within, which is part of your personality, how you carry yourself, how you express yourself. And so I think it's a mental and spiritual sickness that causes people to behave this way. I, the ones that I have met or know of through other people, I've noticed that at some point in their lives, they felt abandonment, or something traumatic happened to them, either during childhood or their adolescence or their adult years, where they felt alone, abandoned, victimized, and they felt that I guess no one cared about them, so that they had to create this persona or be this overly aggressive, domineering, overly confident person to mask the feelings of low self-esteem and insecurity that they have. Because I've noticed the narcissists that I've been around, and they have low self-esteem, they have a low sense of self-worth. They're very fragile, very, very fragile egos. But their ego is dominant, like they're egomaniacs, but at the same time is very fragile. It needs a lot of stroking. They need a lot of reassurance, a lot of praise, a lot of just they over the top with the things that they need to make themselves feel better, and they don't really care or give a damn about how other people feel, or other people's feelings. Is always about them. And of course, being the narcissist that they are, they do not accept responsibility for their behavior. They have that's something that they really have a impossible time doing, which is why they often, you have to go no contact with them, because they don't want to take responsibility for their behavior. It's always someone else's fault. And when they do apologize to you, if they apologize, but if they apologize to you, most of the time is not sincere. It's going to be a passive aggressive apology, something like, "I'm sorry, but you made me," or, "If you hadn't done such and such, then I wouldn't have had to." It'll start with words like "if," or they'll apologize in other insincere ways. Like they'll say, "Well, I'm sorry you felt that way, but," or they'll say, "It wasn't that serious of an issue. I don't know why you're so upset." The gaslighting once again. Or if they apologize, it's because this is how they want to manipulate you. It's an apology without any sincere change. So they'll say, I'm sorry for whatever they did. And then when you forgive them, they feel like, okay, the doors are wide open for me to get back in good with this person. And, they'll try to abuse you again. And, they won't accept when you say, no, enough is enough. And they just have a hard time with that. And then they'll do things to try to make you feel guilty for holding them accountable for their bad behavior. Because remember, it's always somebody else's fault and not theirs. So those are some of the major things that expose the narcissist. So tonight we're going to be talking about the narcissistic behavior, because a lot of people are still blind to this and just don't get it and are not recognizing it for what it's worth. And they're finding themselves cycling again and again with these kind of people, and or they're developing these traits themselves. All right. So narcissistic behavior, like I said, is very common, and it will keep happening until you recognize this behavior and put a stop to it and learn to heal. So tonight is what we're going to be talking about. So the major warning sign, the red flag to let you know that someone is a narcissist, is narcissists are selfish people. They talk about themselves a lot. They think about themselves first. They use words like I a lot. Like they'll say, I did this, I have that. They're always talking about themselves, what they have, what they did, where they went, what they think, without you even asking them sometimes. They will dominate conversations. If you've ever had a narcissistic friend, they will call you and they'll be like, hey, how you doing? And then they'll just go into what happened to them. And sometimes you can't even get a word in. And then when you do share something about you or something about how you feel or what you think, they'll patronize you or just spend like a couple of little seconds on what you had to say. And then the conversation is back to them again. So they're selfish in that regard. They always put their needs first, and what is important to them comes first. A lot of times they're just totally incapable of thinking about other people. They lack empathy. They lack empathy even for their family members. And so they don't quite get it that they're being selfish and putting all of their needs first. Like I said, they talk about themselves a lot, and they use the I a lot, the word I a lot. They're not team players. They don't think as a team or as a group unit. It's solely about them, what they want, what they need, how they feel, what they think, where they're going, where they came from. You can literally have a conversation with them. And if you practice silence and listening more and less talking, you can have a whole conversation with them and they'll do all of the talking and won't even notice that you're not saying anything. I've had that experience. They'll be talking, all about them, all about what they're doing. And they won't even let you come up from air and just interject your opinion or what you have to say. And it's just all about them. And a lot of times they don't, excuse me, something in my throat. Sometimes they won't respect anyone else's opinion in the conversation. They feel like their opinion matters more. A lot of them feel like their opinions are facts. It's difficult to talk to them. Some of them are very argumentative because they feel that, when you don't agree with them, there's a problem. I've experienced that a lot. You can just say, well, I don't agree with that. Or I don't think it's like that. They get very upset, over your opinion. Like how, I guess they think in their mind, is the little clicking in their brain, I guess, is saying, how dare you disagree with me, like I'm right, I know it all. So they are very selfish and they talk about themselves. So if you're meeting someone and someone's folks, before you engage in any kind of relationship, romantic relationship with a partner, take time to get to know people and observe them. So if you're introduced to someone or you meet someone, before you get involved, pay attention and look for these red flags. So if they talk about themselves a lot, dominate conversation, chances are you might be dealing with a narcissist. All right, so that's the first red flag. Number two, narcissists crave attention and they like to be the center of attention. Now, some of them will say, I don't like to be the center of attention. I don't like, a lot of attention on me. That's what they'll say. But when you don't give them that attention and if you don't make them feel special, they get upset. They will do, that's the covert one. They'll say things like, oh, I don't want anything for my birthday, just something simple, let's just stay at home. And then if they said that I don't want anything, and so you don't get it, you don't do anything, you just buy them a cupcake or something with put a candle on or something, and then they will go off because you didn't do something elaborate, although they said, I didn't want anything elaborate, I don't want anything fancy, but because you didn't do it, there's going to be a problem. You can surprise them with something and they'll be upset because it wasn't enough, it wasn't good enough, it wasn't quite what they wanted, it didn't meet their expectation, although you put a lot of time and effort in it. But it, like I said, they crave attention and they like to be the center of attention. Hi, Dia. Thank you for joining us tonight on this very special topic. I hope you are doing well. So they crave attention. They like to have the biggest and the best of everything. They avoid places or situations that they feel are not worthy of them. They like to be really overly dressed sometimes when they go places, because they like to showboat, they like to show off, they like to be seen, they like to do things in a big way. And I am well, sweetheart. Thank you for asking. And so that's another thing that they do. So keep that in mind. Then there's nothing wrong with liking nice things, liking some attention, but you got to watch it. You got to watch if this is something this person craves and needs a lot of, or that's a part of them needing to be validated and needing to be praised all the time, and have their ego stroked. Watch their social media. Someone brought to my attention that some people, all they do is take selfies. It's you go to their page, whether it's Facebook or TikTok or Instagram, is nothing but images of their face over and over again. That can be a red flag, and that could be an indicator as well that this person may be, but that definitely is a warning flag. Even if you're a makeup artist and you're showing and showcasing your makeup skills and talent, still, can't you take other pictures of other people's faces, or can you take pictures of you in different settings and things like that, and not just so much just all about how you look? But that's what some people do. All right, number 3, narcissists need validation and constant praise for their fragile self-esteem. They will say things to elicit praise and attention from you. They'll say, I guess I didn't do that well, or I guess I didn't do that right. And you're supposed to say, oh no, you did a great job on that. That was wonderful. That was fantastic. It was brilliant. They want that attention, and they will feel wounded and angry. They may give you the silent treatment or some other kind of little passive aggressive behavior if you don't overly praise them and give them a lot of attention and validation. They'll say things, well, I guess I'm wrong, or just things that sound like rhetorical questions, but they'll say this to get a response out of you, because this is part of what they do to seek attention, is also part of what they do with the manipulation. So you got to watch that. A person that needs constant praise and will actually avoid situations where they're not getting praised, they're not getting rewarded. You know, if you've ever been in a social setting or a situation where is multiple narcissists, and they're kind of competing for the attention and things like that, that's interesting to watch. But and it can get kind of loud and heated, but they really need that praise and that constant validation that they are, somebody up here on a pedestal or something. They really need that. And so when they're not feeling that, they will get angry or frustrated with you when they're not feeling like you're kissing their feet enough, that it's a problem to them, and they will express their discontent. So keep that in mind. Number 4, a narcissist will build you up and then tear you down. They'll say things positive about you um, to other people, or occasionally to your face, especially if other people are around. They'll say something positive and praise you, but then turn around in the same sentence or on another occasion and tear you down. And this is part of what they do to maintain control. They'll praise you, especially parade you around in a relationship, kind of like their arm candy, but then they'll be verbally abusive um, when no one's around, or when they get angry with you. All the positive things that they said to lift you up, when they get angry, they'll say the opposite. Like, you're nothing without me. Once again, talking about themselves, because of course, they built you up. If I take this away, you ain't gonna have nothing. They'll, you know, say these kind of things to you, make you feel small, make you feel insignificant, make you feel that you can't manage without them. You had a life before you met them, and you're going to have a life after them, but they don't want you to feel that way. They want you to feel that you need them for your survival, for your very essence, that you need to listen to them. Without them and without their guidance or their help, no matter how crazy and messed up it might be, or it might be good advice, they feel that they'll make you feel that without them you can't manage, you can't survive. And this is all a part of the control and the manipulation, the mind manipulation that they do. So keep that in mind. Someone who will praise you in one sentence or in front of one group of people, but then try to throw you on the bus and tear you down and make you feel small in another one. Or which is it? Because this is what they do all the time. That it's the passive aggressive, the Jekyll and Hyde personality and the behavior. um Number 5, narcissists are very manipulative, very, very manipulative. And some of them are cleverly so. Like, sometimes they will manipulate you and you don't even know you're being manipulated. They will try to brainwash you in subtle ways sometimes, and sometimes not so subtle ways, and make you think that um, the thoughts the thoughts you're thinking are actually theirs, and but they'll try to make you feel that is yours. It's really strange that they will make you think their ideas are your ideas. And I've even seen some that will say, I convinced so and so to do such and such, they were too stupid, or they couldn't think, or they couldn't do it on their own. And without me telling them this, and this, it's always about them. Without me telling them that, they couldn't do it. Just very, once again, controlling behavior. And if things don't go their way, there's a problem. They use manipulation because this is something that they need to do to feel empowered, is to manipulate people. And one particular part of manipulation that I have witnessed is narcissists sometimes will use health to emotionally manipulate people. For example, when I was growing up, we had a relative that we would go and visit. And this lady, whenever we would go visit her, she was an elder. And whenever we would go visit her and, walk into the house, she would instantly start telling you about all her health problems. She had, she would go down the list of all the things that were wrong with her, the hypertension, the diabetes, the bone problems, the surgery she had, the ones that she's about to have, what the doctor said. I mean, just go down the list, everything about, you ask how her and her husband are doing, and she would just go down a list of all the problems that she had. And the husband, a lot of times, would just be quiet and just, let her talk, let her get out, whatever. And she would just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And because of she had this myriad of health problems, she would use it to manipulate the husband. His life had to revolve around her and her illnesses. Like, if he was planning to go somewhere or do something, there would be some kind of sickness and some kind of relapse that she would have, and that would, change everything. Everything had to revolve around her and what she wanted and what she had going on and what she needed. He pretty much dedicated the rest of his life taking care of her, and he actually passed away before she did. But I noticed, and I was a child observing, as a child and a teenager observing, so I didn't know anything about narcissism at that point. But I did notice that this woman was using her illness to manipulate and control her husband. And I have seen this behavior with some other people. There are other people who have illnesses, and they'll claim that, they've been sick for years with it. And when a change is taking place, or somebody's leaving or moving on, or whatever is happening, they'll suddenly get sicker. Narcissists are famous for that. Something else they do to manipulate you, not only use illness, but let's say they got sick and they went to the hospital. It might have been for strep throat. They'll say something to you like, you don't even care about me. I was sick. I was in the hospital last week, woo, woo, woo. All this happened. I could have died, and you don't even care. You this, and that. And, make you feel like a terrible person. But then when you find out, yeah, they were at the hospital last week, but they were only there for like 2 hours. And the first hour and a half was in the waiting room. Once the doctor, checked them out, they got strep throat, they gave them a prescription, they sent them home. It wasn't that serious. They will make you think it was. They'll say, yeah, such and such happened to my mom, and you don't even care because you left this house and you weren't here, and she could have died. And then you find out, well, what happened? So then you start feeling guilty, which is what they want, and you'll go and find out what happened. Mom, her pressure got up. She got to take her medication or something like that. It wasn't life-threatening. It wasn't terminal, but they'll try to make you feel like it is. They'll also fake illnesses when a person's ending a relationship with them, or when they see that they can no longer control you. When they see that they no longer can control you, suddenly certain illnesses will flare up, or they'll get deathly ill, so they say. they'll have a fall, or they'll get, just uncontrollably sick and need help, all of a sudden. Or if they have a minor illness, it will become major when they want to control the situation and manipulate you. So please be aware of that. It's a lot of that going on. It's a lot of emotional bullying and manipulation going on when it comes to them. And they will use their illness, they will use their health to control and manipulate people, especially family members. This is something they do. All right. Another thing, number 6, narcissists can be violent, or they can play the victim at their convenience. So some of them are very violent and will use violence and, threats of violence and fear tactics to control the people they manipulate and control, their victims. And then others will play the victim. Like, if you ever end a relationship with a narcissist, they will they will gaslight you and try to make you feel that you're doing them wrong. You're leaving. Let's say that if they were physically abusive and you get the police involved and you move out, they will try to make you feel guilty. They will, bring up things from their past. They'll start playing, they'll pull that, oh, woe is me card. I was abused as a child. I was abandoned. I didn't have my mother. I didn't have this. I don't have a father. I just, whatever. And now you're going to leave me too. They'll throw up things like that. They will, when you call them out on their BS and expose them for lying or gaslighting, they'll say something to play the victim, like, oh, why are you treating me like this? They may break down crying. I was only trying to help. I was this or that, I'm not apologizing. Why don't you apologize first? Because you said stuff that hurt me too. After they cursed you out and you're like, I'm not tolerating this abuse. And then they'll be like, well, you did such and such. Don't listen to it. Don't listen to it. That's a part of the gaslighting. That's a part of the manipulation. That's a part of the games that they play to maintain control over you. And they will flip-flop between violence or abuse. It can be verbal abuse. It can be mental abuse. They'll flip-flop between being abusive and then the victim. They do it a lot. They do it so much, it'll get so confusing that sometimes you don't know whether you're coming or going. But don't listen to it, because they will do it and abuse you. And then when you decide I don't want to talk to them, or, when they're trying to get back in good with you, or if you leave or, go no contact with them, then they start playing the victim role. And, you did something to wound them and to hurt them, and whatever. Don't listen to it. Don't listen to it at all. Don't engage it. They'll do things like call you 3:00 in the morning or something and be like, you don't call me, you don't check on me, you don't this and that, and you just left me. How could you, and leave me at a time when I was most vulnerable? And you remind them of the things that they did. And somehow they will pretend they don't know. They'll start with the gaslighting, or they'll just start bringing up stuff that's totally irrelevant, because this is all a part of their manipulation. Remember, they have to feel in control. They love control. Number 7, narcissists insist they are right and smarter than everyone else, and that I said that earlier, their opinions are facts. I've been around a lot of narcissists, and they'll, brag about themselves and boast about themselves. I was the first person to have this. I was the first person in this town to do that. I was the one that started dressing like this, and then everybody else started doing it. I was the first one to have that kind of car. I was this, I was that. Once again, I talking about themselves. They really do believe, a lot of them, that they're smarter than other people. And most people, they feel this false sense of superiority. A lot of times, a narcissist will become a leader of something. Let's say they're a leader of a group, gang, um, club, some kind of organization or whatever. A lot of times, the leader of groups is someone that's narcissistic. And it's not that they're smarter, because they may not be the smartest person in the group, but they are very clever and they're more manipulative. And this is what they do to get to the top, to be the alpha male or the alpha female. I have seen this over and over again. And they will literally, sometimes it's covert, but there's the aggressive, malignant ones, and they will claw their ways to the top to get and do whatever they'll do whatever it takes to get to the top, because they really feel that they deserve it, because they feel like this elevated, unrealistic sense of importance that they have, that is, no one else seems to have, or no, they'll say things, well, I knew that, I don't really need to take that class because I already know this. I've always known this. Okay, well, if you so smart, then why aren't you applying what you say you know? If you already know, I know everything. I know. Oh, okay. Well, if you do, then if you know so much, then why aren't you applying that knowledge? Wouldn't that knowledge that you say you have and know, wouldn't that be made manifest in your life? But this is how they talk. They insist that they're right. Many of us have had experiences where you're having a talk with someone and you disagree with them, just harmless disagreement. We all have to agree to disagree. That's just the way it is. Everybody's not going to have the same opinion. Everybody's not going to have the same perspective. But when you disagree with them, oh, hell, it will break loose sometimes. I've been in situations where they, a narcissist will insist on something, and you'll say, no, I don't agree with that, or that's not what I observed, that's not how I saw it, the situation. And they'll get so highly upset with you, and sometimes will hold a grudge for a long period of time, be over an opinion. I in the workplace, I used to have a boss years ago at a school that I worked at, and she would have these meetings, staff meetings, where she would call everybody together and discuss a situation, and then ask the staff for their input. What did they think about this particular situation? How should we handle this? And then after everybody would express their opinion, she would argue with a few people. She was very domineering, very domineering. And then she would decide, we're going to go with my idea. So it's like, well, why? And I would be sitting in the meetings like, why did we have a staff meeting to ask, and solicit our input, if you're going to do what you want to do anyway, and you're going to do it the way you want to do it? What was the purpose of having this meeting if you're not respecting other people's opinions and you're not even considering it? But this woman, she would do this over and over again. And then I've experienced other bosses like that as well. And I'm just like, what is it with this? Is there like a guidebook somewhere that if you're a boss, you got to act like this? But it's, once again, it's the narcissism. It's just like, it's an infectious illness. And there's so many people that have it and that behave like this. And you just see it over and over again. And you also have the narcissist that, swear they know more than everybody else, and whatever they say is the honest to God gospel truth, and what others say or feel, they'll belittle them, or they just don't even consider it, because you're just, there's no way possible you could know what you're talking about. They really think they're experts, I think, on everything, and a lot of times. And they won't like to admit when they don't know something. It's okay to say, I don't know, I'm learning, is new. If you can't fill a cup that's already full. So, but when it comes to them, They do not want to admit that they don't know something or they have to explore. It's something in their ego and in their mind that they have to be the one that's right and the one that knows it. All right. Number 8, they use people. They are users. They will use people till they don't need them anymore. They treat people as a means to an end. Someone has something they want, they will use you to get to the next level. They will use you financially. They will use you emotionally. They some of them behave like energy vampires as long as they can manipulate and control you. They'll keep you around. But when you're not manipulable or easy to control, then there's a problem, and they will find someone else. I know someone personally who is right now um, just recently divorced. I think she's going through a divorce with someone who she herself said is a user, and this person just gets into relationships with people that they can use and abuse, and then when they no longer want to use or mistreat that person, they just find someone else, and it's like a vicious cycle. But this is how this person has been for many years, is someone that treats people as objects and as something for their own use and their own pleasure and whatever. And there's no consequence, there's no consideration for the other people's feelings and what's best for them. It's only about this person. And so that's what they are like. They use people. They seem to almost instinctively know who they can use and who they can't, and they will do that. And when they see that they can't use you, or they just kind of toss you to the side, there's no reason to continue having a friendship or relationship with you, if there's no benefit in it for them. There's no mutual relationship. It's all about what's best for them, what they're getting out of it. That's all they're concerned with. All right. And they may try to make you feel that your needs are not as important as theirs. So therefore, it's all about them using the other person. Like, if they're more important, they're more valuable than you are. So keep that in mind and watch those red flags. Another one is they will they'll try to make you feel that you need them, but in actuality they need you, but they don't want to acknowledge that. So that's how they control and manipulate, by making you feel less than them and making you feel dependent on them. Some people are married to narcissists or have narcissist parents who refuse to allow them to work or have their own career or have their own life. They want to control their money and make you feel needy, like you need them. And so that's another thing that they do to control you. So be very aware of that and be very careful when dealing with those kind of people. 9, they are always angry. That's another characteristic of a narcissist. They're always angry, and they're often chronic complainers. Some people just complain because they're unhappy, they're dissatisfied with their lives. They need to do some chakra work, some healing, and that happens from time to time. But the narcissist is a different type of complainer. They complain about what other people do, but they're not doing anything about it. For example, they'll talk about how bad the people in their neighborhood are about pollution, about polluting the neighborhood, but then they're doing it too. Or they'll complain about how other people treat their families, but they mistreat their family too. although they're totally incapable of seeing what they're doing, and they're totally incapable of seeing their faults, nor will they acknowledge them, but they are quick to point out other people's faults and what other people are doing wrong. They're famous for that. And they so that's what I mean by the chronic complaining. They're always complaining about a situation of things that people are doing, but they're doing the same thing, but they don't see it. They talk about how bad other people are, how lazy, how irresponsible or whatever, but the very things they complain about, oftentimes they do themselves. So it's like they live in a glass house, but they're throwing stones at somebody else's house. That they do that a lot. They're always angry. I've been around some who will, especially trying to work with them, if you in a work setting, and they'll be angry with you about the way you did something, your performance at work. So, why don't you do it yourself? But they didn't want to do it themselves. They wanted somebody else to do it. Or they'll say they couldn't do it and you did it, but you didn't do it right. And it's never right. If you have a narcissistic parent or family member, spouse, whatever, they'll make you feel that you're never doing it right. You're not good enough. What you're doing is not nearly enough because that's not the way that they would do it, but then they're not doing it. They complain about your performance and things. They may complain about the way you clean the house, but they're not cleaning it. So it's, things of that nature. They're always fussing and angry. They're always dissatisfied with things, but they're not doing anything about it. They'll complain and complain about things and accuse you of the things that they themselves are doing or not doing. They'll fuss at you for not cutting the grass. And then when you cut the grass, you didn't cut the grass good enough, or you didn't cut it fast enough, or it should have been done last week before it got that high. And why are you doing it today? Well, Mr. Narcissist or Miss Narcissist, why didn't you cut the grass? You saw it needed to be done. Well, I don't have time to do it. Then they start talking about what they got to do, what they are, who they are, whatever. This is their behavior. So you have to watch them. They're always fussing and complaining and just totally dissatisfied with things. But they're not doing anything about it to make it different because it's always someone else's fault. You never do things right according to them, but they won't do the thing that they accuse you of not doing right. It's always a problem. We have a question in the chat. Dia says, can they be depressed too? Yes, narcissists can get depressed. They can get depressed. They can get sad and lonely. There's many different causes to depression. So yes, they can be depressed sometimes too. I think, yeah, we went over most of the characteristics of or what I call the red flags to warn you about a narcissist. And back to what I'd said, it just reminded me of another boss that I had years ago when I was talking about how they complain about things, and they're always angry about things not being done right. I forgot about another one that I had. I had this boss a few years ago who was about to retire. And when she was about to retire, she there was a party planned for her. And the party was going to be given to her by the co-workers, and it wasn't going to be a surprise. They let her know about the party. We're going to have a party on such and such a date, for you, in honor of you for all the work that you've done and to celebrate your retirement. And this woman took over the planning of the party. The party was supposed to be for her, but she took over it, and she started telling them, she extended the invitation list of who she wanted to come to the party. And then she wanted a special poem or statement read about her. So she volunteered someone to read something about her to praise her. Okay. Now, I thought in parties like this, to honor someone when they're retiring or when they're changing careers, the people that you work with will say some kind words, some supporting words, some words of thanks and gratitude to you for your hard work. That's from their heart, not you telling them what to say about you to praise you. But that's what she did. She volunteered people to read a statement to about her and her accomplishments. She asked someone to sing there. She made it a themed party. She asked everybody to wear her favorite color. She had the decorations done, in honor of her favorite color. She invited someone to come to conduct the ceremony there, and every week she put out a message. Don't start until I arrive. Don't do this until we this. You know, make sure this person speaks first. I mean, it was just like incredible. And I was like, this is supposed to be a party to honor you, and it has turned into something very different than honor you. It's more of like all hail the queen kind of thing. And um this is typical of the kind of stuff that they do. Like, they don't even trust you to give them a party. They'll take it over. Or if you do something wonderful and magnificent for them, to surprise them, chances are the narcissist may be a little bit upset. They may say, well, I don't like surprises. But that's not true, because they like the other ones that other people did, or the kind that they like to give. Or they may say, oh, thank you for the wonderful party, and complain about it to someone else, or talk about what you could have done or what you should have done more of, or what they would have liked better. They may not say it to you, but they'll say it to someone else. Or just, once again, things are just not right unless they do it, but then they're not doing it. They'll send someone with a message, and if the person didn't convey the message exactly as they wanted it, because I told you to do such and such, they'll throw shade, they'll get angry, they'll get so upset. I should have been there to do it myself. Well, why weren't you there? Why weren't you there if you would have done a better job? Yeah. But this is what they do. This is how the kind of behavior that they display. So I think we covered all of the red flags or the warning signs to help you identify and avoid narcissists. I hope this was helpful. It took me many years to realize what type, that there was a name to this kind of behavior. Years ago, when I first looked up the word narcissist, I thought it wasn't a very detailed definition. So I thought it was a person that was conceited or just selfish. I didn't realize that there's a whole array of character traits that goes with this, until I started watching some of Dr. Ramani's videos, and actually read a book about narcissism. And so I realized that, wow, there's a lot of people that have this. And, we also see a lot of celebrities, other famous people that have these behaviors. And, it's rampant. And a lot of families and friendships that are falling apart. Friendships have ended, marriages have ended. Some people are not speaking to family members, have cut people off and disowned them over these types of behaviors. It's very toxic. whether they are a malignant narcissist or the more subtle, more clever, covert one, or the silent one. It doesn't matter, because it's still unacceptable behavior, and it's still controlling, it's still toxic, and it can be very serious, and just rob you of your happiness and your peace. And in order for us, family, to go into this new world, this new earth that we're creating, a world, the new earth, a world of peace and love and harmony, freedom and justice, respect for one another. We cannot have narcissistic behavior. We just cannot. It's not acceptable. It's not okay. The way they behave and treat people is totally, totally wrong. And, it's up to us to stop the toxic behavior, to end these cycles of abuse and the manipulation. Many of us, like I said, have been in the clutches of narcissists our whole life, whether it was a family member, a parent, or a sibling. And then next thing you know, we find ourselves in the workplace surrounded by them. We found ourselves in romantic relationships and marriages with these very same people. And then some of us have narcissist children. And it's a vicious cycle. And until we learn to identify these and avoid these behaviors or correct them, it's going to continue to tear a lot of our families apart. It's very unhealthy. It can lead to more serious offenses. A lot of times, people who are abusers and predators, a lot of them have narcissistic tendencies. And that's the more acute form of it, but it's still a form of it. So we have to watch these things and monitor these things before they get to that point, to the point where the person actually has become a predator, and they just use and prey on people who they feel are not as smart as them, or people who are vulnerable and needy, and people that they see that they can manipulate and abuse and control. So before it gets to that point, family, let's identify them and let's avoid them, and end the cycle, break the cycle. And one way is going no contact. They are not going to change. You can't change them until they want to change, until they recognize that they have a problem, and that the way that they treat people, and the lying, the gaslighting, the manipulation is wrong. And until they recognize that, there's nothing that you can do to help them, or to help them to see that they have a problem. They have to accept it. They have to be accepting of their behavior and willing to change it, and stop using the crocodile tears and the fake apologies to manipulate and control people, and just be sincere and be who I think that they can change if they want to, but that's the problem. If they want to, in order for them to change, they have to recognize that they are, their behavior is disturbed, and their behavior is not healthy, and is not good. And until they are willing to recognize and accept that their behavior is toxic and unacceptable, they're not going to change. So it's not up to us to make them change or make things better for them. And we should not become enablers, and we should not become, we have to heal from the constant people pleasing, and the low self-esteem, and the things that we have within ourselves that make us susceptible to these type of people. And they will prey on the weak and the vulnerable and the needy, and people that they feel that they can control. And you don't want to be that kind of person. You want to be empowered and stand up for yourself and speak up when things don't feel right or when things are wrong. You have that right, and you should not allow anyone to take that from you. So I hope this is helpful. I really do. I really hope that people will educate themselves and learn more about this disorder so that they can protect themselves and arm themselves against these kind of people. And let's end this cycle of narcissistic abuse. And with that, I hope everyone's having a wonderful, I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their week. I want you all to be happy, healthy, at peace, and stay balanced and enjoy the rest of your time. And I hope to see you all next week when we meet next Wednesday for another exciting topic. So thank you, everyone. Peace and love.